toxic partisanship, left versus right, us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
All right, welcome to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined once again on this wonderful Wednesday by Andrew Hollister. Andrew, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. Folks, we are live here in WYSL, which means that you, the listener, can give us a call. 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. Shout out to our friends listening a little bit later over at WACK out in New York, or listen to a podcast a little bit later too. And all of our friends listening online. We are back online today. Facebook and Instagram have been resurrected. Unfortunately, Monday show, no online streaming. We were totally dark, but today we're on A Free Solution, the Facebook page, Free Solution, the YouTube channel, the Andrew Hollister pages, and the Kevin Wilson pages, wherever you prefer to listen. Thank you for being here, and make sure you leave your comments, participate in the show today, because we are talking about Facebook, not the crash, which was, certainly a thing, but we could talk about the crash. I mean, you're an IT expert. Maybe I don't know if you have things to weigh in on that. We could talk about it. Lots of folks are saying that this is why we should break up Facebook.
Well, I would say, and we could notch this under the title of conspiracy theory, Kevin. I'm okay with that. It's really convenient that Facebook and Instagram went down right when the news was publishing all this information about the whistleblower, because kind of the explanation they gave felt a little unrealistic. I'll just say that.
I haven't read going down like the DNS issue.
That's not the issue I read about. So maybe there was multiple issues, but they said that they had to physically send a person out to a data center to reconnect something.
Right. So cat tripped the cord, and half the internet goes out.
Also, it takes you that long to do that. I don't know. I mean, I've experienced outages with Google. I work with a lot of Google products. I've experienced outages with AWS, which is Amazon's product, and I have a pretty good understanding of how virtualized environments work and data centers work, and the information they gave just didn't seem likely. Not saying it didn't happen, not saying that they didn't truly have an outage. It just seemed really, really sketchy.
Right. You're the expert on this stuff. Like, I would be very interested in you digging more into that and telling us if something's up. But
yeah, it was one of those things that there could be a perfectly logical explanation, and maybe they truly did go down. The skeptic in me isn't buying it.
Yeah.
So more on that at a later date, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. Why not? Oh. I know. It is interesting though, because that did lead to a bunch of people this is why we need to break them up, because how can one error, allegedly, if it even was an error?
Yeah. Do you not have redundancy? That's
that is another question. How is it that one server issue apparently, or maybe it was a DNS issue, but how is that one thing knock out 3 apps worldwide? Which, in other countries, things like WhatsApp are way more of a big deal than they are in the US. They are the instant messaging texting service in some of these places.
My friends in Europe use WhatsApp in place of text messaging. That's true.
Yeah. There are other services out there that people be like, Facebook has a monopoly on this stuff. No, the heck it doesn't. There's a ton of other services out there that you can use in other countries. Signal, Telegram, whatever, right?
Yeah. And to that point, I don't know if you saw the headline. The CEO of Telegram said that while Facebook was down, they got 70 million new users. 70 million in that 6-hour times. Isn't that crazy?
Wow. Well, good for them.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I didn't read any article saying Telegram went down, so their service must scale great.
Yeah, I guess so, right? To be able to take on that many at once.
Yeah, in a 6-hour period. Like, good for them. That's
right.
great.
New conspiracy theory. Telegram was behind this.
Evidence to back it up whatsoever. It just seems highly convenient to me that Facebook just happened to go down literally when ABC published their piece on it. I looked, the timestamps were within like a half an hour of each other. So
Wow.
it was just, I don't know, interesting.
Listen, when we do these segments, either with you or with Tim, I'm gonna start keeping a tinfoil hat next to me every time you guys.
Oh, I've got one right here.
Start keeping it with me. Speaking of Tim, he commented in to say, "Let's go, Brandon." He's definitely saying, "Let's go, Brandon," and nothing else. Don't worry about it, guys.
There you go.
Andrew, you're offline, so you haven't seen the memes.
No, I don't know about the memes.
There's a chant at a NASCAR rally where the reporters are saying, "Let's go, Brandon." And like, oh yeah, they're chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." They were absolutely not saying, "Let's go, Brandon." They were saying something about Joe Biden that was not very nice, and I can't repeat on the radio.
Oh, so it wasn't "Let's go."
It wasn't.
No. All right.
So anyway,
well, I did see
thank
some
you for the
memes,
comment,
though.
Tim. Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon. No, I did see some memes that followed the Facebook and Instagram shutdown, which were fun. Probably poke a little bit too much fun at too many different people, but at this point, probably the population at large, about how much independent vaccine studies have been lost and set back due to Facebook being shut down. And it's just like people on their toilet typing on Facebook. So that was there's a lot of that circulating for sure.
Yeah, right. So a bunch of that stuff. Again, the Facebook going down thing wasn't the topic of this show. Like, mostly what we want to talk about today, at least for the next couple segments, is actually the whole whistleblower thing. Whether or not Facebook is suppressing their own research, and whether or not Congress should do anything about it or has any credibility on this issue whatsoever about protecting user privacy or protecting young people. So yeah, but before we go to break, because we still have a couple minutes left, do you want to kind of introduce the topic? Where are we going to go with this today?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So to kind of give you guys a preview of what we want to talk about today, Facebook had a former employee, Frances Haugen, who she leaked thousands of pages on Facebook's internal research about how their algorithms work, things that they were finding, requests that they were getting from outside third parties. They had data that suggested that their platform has impacted not just the United States, but societies across the world. And in not a good way by any means. And as more and more of this comes out, I mean, it's incredibly interesting. I can't wait to talk about it with you guys. You might have seen Mark Zuckerberg has finally stood up and decided that he's going to speak about this. So now he's standing up to defend Facebook. She's been testifying now in front of Congress. Mark Zuckerberg was asked to testify in front of Congress and apparently just hasn't responded. And when he made his big post kind of like rebuttaling all this stuff, he still hasn't responded to Congress. And some people are saying looks like he's trying to just avoid the whole situation. So that's at least a good taste of what we're going to talk about. Kevin, do you want to throw anything else in there?
No, I'll say, like, we'll kind of go over some of the policy solutions to this too, right? Like, again, is this helpful to drag people in front of Congress, right? Like, is this an argument for greater regulation of Facebook, or or greater regulation of users on Facebook too, because that's part of like the argument of the whistleblower, and part of the argument of like the regulators is like, well, we need to control this content. Maybe touch on Section 230. I don't know, but we'll start out, as you said. We'll talk about what is whistleblower actually saying. I'll read a couple tweets too from my friend Sahar, who's been on the show before. He worked at Facebook. He ended up getting quoted in the New York Times, interestingly enough. He was covering this, but he kind of worked in the politics division of Facebook. So I don't always agree with him, but he certainly has interesting things to say about that. It's worth considering. Yeah, I think that about wraps it up. So when we come back, we'll talk about all this stuff. Stay tuned on WYSL or online, wherever you're listening, or on WACK if you're listening a bit later for a free solution, or give us a call in too. If you want to chat about this, you have thoughts, just call 585-346-3000. That's 585-346-3000. We'll be back with more on the free solution in a few minutes.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, SimpleTech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Tyranny.
There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof from Afghanistan.
No one thinks it can happen here.
Shelter in place until and unless you receive a communication from the U.S. Embassy.
And without our God-given right to self-protection as outlined in the Second Amendment, it can. But this fall, you have the opportunity to stand up for freedom. October 8th, 9th, and 10th, celebrate freedom, faith, and family at the Rod of Iron Freedom Festival. It's America's largest festival for Second Amendment advocacy. With Pastor Sean Moon, Sheriff Richard Mack, Olympian Gabby Franco, Dr. John Lott, Teddy Daniels, and very special guest, radio talk show host and patriot Dana Lash. Plus great live music, vendors, fireworks, and you. Tickets are free at rodofironfreedomfestival.org. That's rodofironfreedomfestival.org. Join us to celebrate freedom.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
A free solution.
All right, welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Andrew Hollister, as we are doing all Wednesdays now.
Yep.
At least most of them. All right, thanks again for joining us. Again, we're live until 1 p.m. on WYSL, so give us a call, 585-346-3000. Or I got the ticker up down, too. We have an 866 number, 866-552-1009, 866-552-1009. Folks listening online can see that. You can also comment in, and if they're good stuff, we'll read it on the air. And all right, yeah, so we'll jump into it. Shout out to the people commenting, Drew Simmons, Will Phillips, Tim O'Connor. thank you guys all for listening today and chatting in. Brian also listening today. Appreciate y'all being here. I want to make sure we kind of get the whole story out, though, before we jump into some of these questions. We'll go back to some of them. So, Andrew, go.
All right. So, just kind of recap if you're just joining us here on the show. Frances Haugen leaked thousands of pages of Facebook's internal research, basically saying a lot of bad stuff about Facebook. I mean, that's maybe the overarching, easiest summary. It said that, and not just Facebook, their family of apps. So this includes Instagram. I haven't gone through like all of the stuff leaked, so I don't know if WhatsApp was included in this. I haven't heard anything about WhatsApp being included in it, which is another product owned by Facebook. But there was some bad stuff in there. There was stuff about how Instagram is potentially harmful to the mental health of teenage girls. There was stuff about Facebook. It's being implied that Facebook knows that their platform has been changing society across the globe in a negative way and is essentially just okay with that because that gains them more advertising dollars, and that they maybe chose to not change their algorithm once they realized that negative posts that cause people to fight and get mad and angry were being promoted, created more engagement, and therefore their algorithm was pushing that out even more. And rather than toning that down, changing it, making it what they're calling safer, they chose to go the route of, more money, more greed, that sort of thing.
Right.
But
and a kind of a key question in that too is, right, like, was that intentional, right? Which I think matters, right? Like, because they were trying to, because they were starting to slow down on the growth of users. They're like, all right, well, we want to make these news feeds more engaging for folks. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you posts that your friends are engaging with. Well, it turns out people engage with stuff that makes them angry a lot. Yeah. And so that's what you saw, is you saw that stuff.
Yeah. And her claim is that Facebook knew about this, did the research, had the studies to back it up, that their platform was perpetuating negativity, hate speech, and even in some cases violence. And they chose to allow it to happen anyways, because when they would make a change to more positive things, that essentially they'd lose viewership. They would lose people on the platform, and therefore advertisers. If this was a financial
just saw
problem.
Pictures of my baby and that made them happy, they wouldn't want to stick around on the platform.
Exactly.
Right? So they're going to get all the political posts from their friend's uncle who makes them mad, and they're going to rage comment on it, and that's what keeps them on the app.
Yep. And then she mentioned other things too during her interview with like 60 Minutes and with a few other news stations, that she said that Facebook essentially eliminated their civic integrity unit, which was a unit designed to kind of make sure that things are good with Facebook, that they're not doing bad things. Now, Facebook says, well, we integrated those staff members into other units. Her claim is that although people were moved around, the function of that unit to keep things good and safe on Facebook was essentially eliminated. So that's something that I guess is up to Congress, the people as a whole, to figure out what they believe. I don't know if there's going to be actual documentation presented that proves that one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, as I understand it, that's what it's not that the intent of that program went away. It's that it was kind of pushed in silo. And again, I wish I had a friend to ask about this stuff, but yeah, my understanding is that it was supposed to get incorporated in other programs. That's truthful, but in doing so, it made it far less effective.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, there's all this stuff here. Again, the potential harm to society is huge. And again, the accusation from the whistleblowers that this is something that was intentionally done for profit so they can make money off of jerks like me who buy ads on Facebook. Never mind that I'm helping small businesses get their product in front of people.
Yep. Well, and
advertisers like me.
And so that's the interesting thing. Some news agencies were asking, does this mean advertisers are going to turn away from Facebook? Does this mean people at large are going to boycott Facebook? And you would love to, but in all reality, it's not going to happen unless
not immediately.
Yeah, unless
right,
so, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, maybe we get this a bit later, but like, I think the case for regulating Facebook is pretty weak in that I think it's a dying institution. There's actually an interesting New York Times article about this and a couple other articles too. And this is something I made when I went on, the local NPR affiliate like a year ago. No, actually, no, it was before COVID. So it must be a year and a half ago where I was like, listen, 3 years from now, Facebook is going to be a desperate dying institution, and their way out is to get regulated enough to push out any other competitors.
Yep.
And so that's what Facebook's trying to do right now. They're eventually going to, say, oh, you're right, guys, we need to do better, and so do all social media companies. Please regulate us, governments, and we'll do better if you only hold us accountable. And when they get regulated, they will shut out any other opportunities for other social media companies to rise up because they will not be able to comply with the requirements that the government's going to make.
Yeah, and I see this in my industry all the time, where big corporations lobby for these huge security legislation bills that small companies, to be honest, have a really hard time complying with. And that's a lot of my day-to-day is helping small companies and some large ones too. I work with large customers and small, but the small ones really struggle to keep up with the legislation. And that's something that we're helping them with constantly. And I will tell you, I've had talks with small business owners and they're like, really? The government expects me to do this? And, my response is usually, especially when it comes to cybersecurity, well, you should be doing this anyways. But yes, now the government's saying if you don't, they're going to start taking away your money. And some businesses sit there and say, well, I guess I had to figure out who's going to take more of my money, the cost of implementing this security measure or the cost of the fines that the government's imposing. And, day by day, sometimes the right thing wins and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, so it's a tough situation. But again, that's part of the argument getting made, and part of the push that we're going to get out of this whole thing is that they're going to want more regulation. Specifically, they mentioned things like the January 6th riot and stuff like, oh, Facebook caused that. They knew they caused that. They amp people up, they rile them up just to make more money. And here's where we're at. It's necessary for the safety of our country to regulate this institution.
Yeah, and I did find that very interesting that during some of the interviews, it was implied and actually discussed that Facebook has kind of like a safety switch that they would switch on during some of the elections. And basically, they would turn on the safety switch to muffle and subdue civil disorder and violence on their platform so that as the election was getting closer, civil unrest wouldn't grow into actual physical violence.
Yeah. But and so I got to tell you, so again, when I talked with, I think it was in a bonus episode with the guy who used to work at Facebook, and I've talked with other folks about this too. This isn't just a problem in the US, like with things like WhatsApp and with other platforms, the actual like organized violence that like takes place in places like India is much bigger, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so people are like, the stuff gets way more wild over there. So this is a tough problem for Facebook to deal with, right? So they a private company, they're like, well, all these people are organizing, anti-Muslim mobs in this country, and they're using our platform to do it. Do we, knowing that this is happening on our platform, take action to prevent that from happening? Right. And the answer is yes, they did try to do these things. So like, again, do you how much do you intervene? How much do you censor speech? How much do you control what people say in order to stop violence from happening? And Congress is saying, well, we don't want you to make that decision independently. We're going to make that for you, and we're totally going to do the right thing, guys. Don't worry. Not at all abuse our power, invade everyone's privacy, and hurt folks in the process.
Government always has an answer, and government always believes that their answer is the right one. I think we
or else
typically, or else violence.
All right. So thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution. Kevin Wilson and Andrew Hollister on today. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Give us a call if you want to participate in the discussion. 866-552-1009. We'll be back on A Free Solution. Just a few.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom. AM 1040 Avon Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
Here's the Newsnet NBC forecast on WYSL. For tonight, mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies expected, low temperature of 59. Going into Thursday, starting off the day, we'll stay on the cloudy side, then see more sunshine in the afternoon, high of 73. Going into Thursday night, we'll see mostly cloudy skies continue with a low temperature of 58. I'm meteorologist Alex Bielfeld on your WYSL stations.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at Simple Tech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the Best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Because your future is worth it. MGM Associates Insurance, proudly serving the region since 1984. MGM can meet your coverage needs, ranging from home, condo, and auto, all the way to specialized policies for business, workers' comp, to limo and taxi insurance, and coverage for tech professionals like IT specialists. They can also help lead you through the confusing maze in the new world of health insurance coverage and options. MGM Associates is large enough to serve you, but small enough to care, so you don't have to wait in line on some 800 number to get prompt personal attention. MGM Associates is the only winner of the National Best Practices Award 5 times in a row. MGM is proud to support veterans groups including Heroes Home Advantage. For your personal, business, home, or professional insurance needs, meet the professionals at MGM Associates Insurance, locally and proudly owned at 1745 Penfield Road in Penfield, 381-7008. Or mgminsure.com, an associate of Ontario Insurance Company, 28 Canandaigua Street in Shortsville.
Springwater Amish Workshop reminds you, just like that, harvest time, fall, and hunting season are upon us. See the great 12-point hunting blind featuring quiet glide windows, full insulation, smart siding exterior, and now on display at the Springwater Amish Workshop store, Route 15 in Springwater. The store has other goodies to decorate your home and lawn for fall. Don't forget, outdoor lawn furniture makes outstanding Christmas gifts from mom and dad, and a great surprise for your wife or husband. We'll store it for you until Christmas. We're your headquarters for storage buildings. They can be delivered to your prepared site all winter long. Springwater Amish Workshop, 7936 Route 15 in Springwater. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit SpringwaterAmishWorkshop.com or visit them on Facebook, 585-669-9710.
1.97%. Seriously? Do you have any idea how crazy low that is? It's really, really low. Advantage Federal Credit Union is offering as low as 1.97 annual percentage rate, whether you're buying or refinancing your current loan. Any make, model, or year? Only one question for you. Are you still listening to me, or are you on AdvantageFCU.org finding out how to get your car loan at 1.97%? It's banking made simple. Membership subject to eligibility. Member NCUA. Limited time offer.
Enjoy fall foliage and spend a day in the country at the Genesee Valley Hunt Races, Saturday, October 9th. See world-class horses and steeplechase races. Go for the gold in our fierce tailgating contest, or enter your dog in canine fun like high jumping. Kids 12 and under free, including wagon rides, pony rides, stick horse races, sled dog demos, and petting zoo. The Genesee Valley Hunt Races features a farmer's market and boutique shopping. Pre-sale tickets $12 at gvhraces.com, $15 at the gate on Saturday, October 9th.
Parents, have peace of mind. Have your child tested for lead poisoning at age 1 and 2. Your child could be exposed to lead anywhere, your house, wrapping paper, even the toys they love. The effects of lead poisoning may not show up for years. Having your child tested is the only way to know. Request a lead test from your child's physician or call the Livingston County Department of Health. If you are a Livingston County resident and want more information on how to prevent lead poisoning, please contact the Livingston County Department of Health at 243-7299.
Buying a car has never been easier at Ralph Honda. With our online shopper, find the car that's right for you, right from your home. Visit us online to value your trade-in, personalize a payment that fits your budget, chat with a team member, and schedule your pickup. It's that simple. For 3 generations, Ralph Honda.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, your host for today, joined by Andrew Hollister. We're live here on WYSL. So call in if you want to participate in the discussion, 866-552-1009. It's 866-552-1009. Or leave your comments online. Free Solution Facebook page, Free Solution YouTube channel, the Andrew Hollister pages, the Kevin Wilson pages, wherever you're at. Thank you for listening. And shout out down the line to our friends listening a little bit later, or WACK out in Newark. Appreciate y'all being here too. Andrew, we should get to a couple of these comments. We got a whole bunch now. Let's pick out a couple of them. Just the ones that aren't just "Let's go, Brandon." And so let's see. Will, I've seen this a lot. I don't know. I've seen this a lot of memes for sure. Will Phillips says, my conspiracy theory, the whistleblower is a pawn and doesn't know why they are using her. I'd ask who is they? What are they using her for? But the implication for a lot of folks is like that the government wants to have an excuse to regulate Facebook, so they have promoted this somehow to become the excuse to regulate Facebook. I have no idea how true. I think that there's a bunch of bad people, or a bunch of people trying to do things in good faith to totally screw up our social media ecosystem, and they're doing it because they think it's the right thing to do. Or even trying to stop legitimately bad behavior. And then the government will jump in and regulate that behavior in a way that'll be detrimental to new and developing apps and opportunities to engage with people online. And let's see what else we got.
I like Tim's comment about when Facebook crashed, did you think you were banned? I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, I did. I pulled up Facebook, the feed wasn't loading. I'm like, oh, that's weird. Opened up Instagram, that feed wasn't loading. I'm like, crap, banned again.
Not again.
I checked it later, but I didn't get the ban message. And I was like, maybe they're just broken. And I searched, and sure enough, they were down. So,
yeah. Wasn't just you this time.
Wasn't just me this time.
And Brian says, from what I've seen, the complaint seems to be that Facebook properly discharged their fiduciary duty to their investors, not a violation of any law. And that's something that always comes up a bunch. Do they have an obligation to do what's in the best financial interest of the company? And mostly yes, but also, if you are violating the law, no, or if what you're doing is legal but hurts someone and it, I think that's worth discussing, right? At least maybe not legally, but morally, you shouldn't do that thing. And that's the question for discussion here. If I'm going to engage with this in good faith, I would say, maybe people are trying to point out an issue that's legitimate here, because that's usually how I approach this. I assume most people are operating in good faith and that they're just totally incompetent in coming up with solutions and want to control everything. And that's where things go wrong. It's like, I can fix this with government and with violence. No, you probably can't. And letting people do their own thing is usually better. And then a few other folks are mentioning, different social media networks too. I have no idea what Frank is. I have heard of Rumble. It's like a video service platform. We're not on there. I have no idea how to get on that. So I'd have to look into it. And then interesting comment from Drew. Have to be 18 years of age to purchase internet, not your child's babysitter. No, Drew, I disagree, man. You should be able to be on the internet whenever you want. Like, it's up to parents. Okay, you just gotta watch your kids, or set your own security profiles for computers and phones. And if they can get around them, good. They have a marketable skill. Andrew might be hiring.
I tell people all the time, whether they want to hear it or not, when Microsoft needs a security expert or somebody that really knows their stuff, they don't check LinkedIn. They go to prison and see who they're going to pay the legal fees for so they can start working for them.
Hey, you're a black hat hacker. Want to be a white hat hacker now?
Yeah. We'll pay you well. We'll get you out of here.
Exactly. There you go. Another interesting comment says from Brian says, the claims about the way Instagram is harming teenage girls, same way that thing that Cosmopolitan and Teen Vogue have been dealing with for years. And I think that's a fair point worth discussing. Right? And I think Andrew and I discussed this during the break, among the teenage girls specifically, right, who are citing Instagram as a reason for increased like suicidal ideation. Is that significantly higher than other ways of like unhealthy engagement in society in the past, right? And what are the other factors that contribute to that? Is being forced into a unhealthy high school environment part of that? And how much of a bigger factor are government schools in increasing the mental health and suicide risk of teenage girls and teenage boys, for that matter? Is Instagram a unique threat to young women in a way that other social institutions and body image issues and fear missing out issues, is it unique compared to stuff that we've had in the past? And I don't fully know the answer to that. I haven't like fully obviously dug into the studies around this, so I don't have the answer, but it's something we've been talking about. My goodness, someone did a project on this thing like for their senior thesis in college when I went, now 10 years ago. So
yeah, and I think that the other question in addition to that is, those magazines, do they have internal studies showing that damage that they're causing? Facebook's on the spotlight right now because they did those studies. They had the data. They have it in front of them. And the question is, what did they do with that data, if anything? Do they have a responsibility to do that? I think that's a question that's going to come up. Like, is Facebook going to be considered responsible for knowing that this was happening on their platform and maybe trying to bury it? Or maybe they didn't try to bury it. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out right now. It doesn't look good, but there's a lot of questions here too. Is like, for example, is there really any liability once you know that you're causing this problem or not? If it's just a platform that's other people are generating content on.
Yeah, no, I mean, those are all fair questions, right? Like, where's the liability, end up? And then should Congress be proactive in preventing this, knowing the data that they have? Should they put restrictions on?
Well, Kevin, those questions are easy to answer. So if it starts with should Congress, the answer is likely no.
Well, I know the answer I'm going to give.
I know. Well, it's just, if anybody was listening in the audience and they were unsure, it's a good rule to live by. If the question starts with should Congress, the answer, you probably don't need to hear the rest of the question.
No, they shouldn't. But certainly someone is asking that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And, I will get this. This is, kind of similar, I think, to Will's comment. So Mark, he says, whole thing's really charade. Dems are using her, the whistleblower, to push Facebook to censor more people who push back against the regime. I mean, again, that's certainly a way some members of Congress want to use this. Is interesting because, like, Democrats want Facebook to censor a lot more. They want to not only allow Facebook to regulate their own platform on political speech, but also to be much proactive in shutting down speech that they believe is violent or spreads, lies, right? And again, Facebook is trying to figure out how to deal with this in an effective way, and they're not always getting it right. I think that they are probably more likely to screw it up less than government would. But that doesn't mean Facebook is, should be immune from criticism on this stuff, because I think they get a lot of that wrong, like banning Andrew. I
can vouch for that one.
Yeah, and then Republicans, they do the opposite. They say no, Facebook shouldn't be allowed to regulate anything. They shouldn't be allowed to pull down any speech at all. They're basically they operate like a government entity, and they should have to allow all speech on their platform, no matter how harassing, no matter how ugly, no matter how offensive it is. They should have to allow that on their platform. And I don't really think that's right either. I don't think that Facebook is under an obligation to have the same protections of the First Amendment that we have like out on the sidewalk, because social media platforms, sometimes they want to cultivate a certain community, and that is their right to do so. They have a right to regulate who they want to let in and not let in, and that is fine. They can do that. And if I don't like it, I will move to another platform. And the fact of the matter is, a lot of people already are. I am spending less and less time on the platform. The people I hire who make their money off of Facebook are spending less and less time on that platform. It is wild when I'm doing interviews. I'm like, oh, do you have a Facebook account? No, I just run ads out of it. I basically have a stock account without a real name. I just run ads there. I want to actually be on the platform. Wild. That is a sign of things to come, and why we shouldn't lock Facebook in with regulation. We just let go. Keep the government out. All right, Andrew, any last things before we go to a break?
No, we can let Facebook fizzle out. I think. Don't bother regulating it. Just let it die all by its own.
Let it go the way of MySpace. Yeah. All right, thanks again for joining us here on Free Solution. One more segment coming up next here on A Free Solution. Give us a call if you want to participate or leave your comments. I know we got many of them in there that we haven't got to yet. Very active today, folks. So give us a call, 866-552-1009. We'll be back with more on A Free Solution in just a minute.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
Tyranny.
There's going to be no circumstance where you see people being lifted off the roof from Afghanistan.
No one thinks it can happen here.
Shelter in place until and unless you receive a communication from the U.S. Embassy.
And without our God-given right to self-protection as outlined in the Second Amendment, it can. But this fall, you have the opportunity to stand up for freedom. October 8th, 9th, and 10th, celebrate freedom, faith, and family at the Rod of Iron Freedom Festival. It's America's largest festival for Second Amendment advocacy. With Pastor Sean Moon, Sheriff Richard Mack, Olympian Gabby Franco, Dr. John Lott, Teddy Daniels, and very special guest, radio talk show host and patriot Dana Lash. Plus great live music, vendors, fireworks, and you. Tickets are free at rodofironfreedomfestival.org. That's rodofironfreedomfestival.org. Join us to celebrate freedom.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime and affect your bottom line. The experts at SimpleTech Innovations are here to help. Their preventative maintenance program ensures that your computers and network are kept up to date and monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State cybersecurity compliance to keep your network safe and secure. Whatever your business IT needs are, Simple Tech Innovations should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
A free solution.
Welcome back to A Free Solution. I'm Kevin Wilson, host today, joined by Andrew Hollister, hosting with me today on this wonderful Wednesday. And again, we're live here on WYSL. Give us a call, 866-552-1009. That's 866-552-1009. Or leave your comment online. Appreciate all the engagement we've gotten today. And Andrew, I got to ask you, should we do something about Finsta?
What?
About Finsta.
Finsta.
Yeah. So this is one of the questions that came up during the Facebook hearings last week. Okay. The senator asked, what are you guys doing to stop Finsta? Finsta is like basically having a sock account on Instagram.
Fake
it's a
Instagram
fake
account.
Instagram,
The
right?
Finsta accounts, yeah.
So people have like their public facing one, where they show off all their stuff. And then they have like a private one with like only their close friends.
Mm-hmm.
So and they asked if Facebook was going to do anything to stop that.
Well, I think they asked them, like, can't they just turn off the Finsta accounts and not allow the Finsta accounts to be created or something like that? It basically, they were like, no, what? You don't know how this works.
Come on.
Hand you this.
I mean,
book.
every time
It's
there's
called-
social media hearings, there's always one just outrageously dumb question. Now, there is like an actual answer to this. Like, if I'm being more generous about it, they could say, well, yes, if you wanted everyone to send in their IDs and prove who they were every single time,
government would love that.
They sure
Facebook would love that.
Yeah. Which I had to do to run ads, which is annoying as heck. But so just in case
Advertisers
I'm
would love
secretly a Russian, hacker spreading misinformation on Facebook, now I had to mail in my home address, passport, blood sample, promise my firstborn child to Facebook in order to run political ads for my clients.
It's probably easier to get your ancestry.com stuff.
Don't give them any ideas. That too, but
yeah, I did see a very interesting quote from Facebook's research, some of the documents that were leaked, which was, we have evidence that hate speech and violence on Facebook and the family of apps, so they're referring to like WhatsApp and Instagram, are affecting societies around the world. So as we're talking about this, we're talking about things that Facebook allegedly knew about internally, was doing their own studies internally, which is interesting. And Kevin, I don't know if you have anything to add to this. I didn't see any data at all explaining how Facebook was doing these studies or getting this data, what the sample size was, where they were getting any of this information, some of the information on how they were finding that their platform, potentially is harming teenage girls, thinking of suicide, possibly pushing forward eating disorders. These things are alleged, but in these Facebook documents. But I didn't see anything about how they were doing these studies and any of that.
Yeah, and I know Facebook does a lot of internal studies on this stuff. I don't know what the methodology for any of that stuff is, and I think smart folks who can answer, ask questions about this might be like, all right, like, well, what is the underlying data behind this stuff? Show us like, so again, from my friend who used to work there, is like a question that Congress could ask or someone could ask is, can you send our office the top 100 ads seen by 13 to 17-year-old, girls in the last month, right? Like, get the numbers, get the details, like what sort of content are they being shown, and is Facebook profiting off of this stuff? And then what other details are like, well, what surveys are done, what sort of posts are you tracking the interactions of, and like, how do you grade the sentiment of those posts? Like, Facebook does all this stuff. I know, like in the abstract, like there's a study a few years ago where they were showing people like, what was it? Posts that were like optimistic versus posts that were like pessimistic. So they'd like show them like positive news or negative news in their feed, and then see how that impacted their interaction on other posts and the things that they talked about.
Interesting.
And would measure the sentiment of that, which is, man, that's crazy manipulative, and very not cool. And they did similar things where like with elections that they kind of got in trouble for. They're like, well, you know, like, well, if we remind people to vote, does it actually get more people to vote in those districts? The problem with that is, right, if Facebook is testing that question, did that impact the outcome of elections? You know, that's...
or if they build a social profile of the people that they want to vote and only remind those people to vote.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's essentially what campaigns are doing already.
Yeah,
you know,
right. That's
when
what I get paid to do, right? Like I'm supposed to go and find out what the interest in the voting profile of folks is and target them as an advertiser. Facebook already has all this data too. And so are they as a company doing this, engaging this type of behavior on their own to impact political outcomes, which I think is absolutely a question worth asking, because that is a bigger concern I think the American public ought to know about and think about.
Yeah, no, for sure. And kind of along the lines of, you know, creating political outcomes, you know, one of the things discussed during one of the interviews was that political parties were finding out and realizing that their content wasn't being dispersed as easily due to Facebook's algorithm unless it was very extreme and polarizing. And that they actually were reaching out to Facebook saying, hey, our regular middle of the road policies that we want people to read about, we can't get engagement on. We can't get the platform algorithm to promote this content. So we had to be really extreme with our messaging to get anything seen on your platform. And, you know, I don't know how far these complaints went, how many of them there were, but this came up during the interviews that Facebook was just kind of like, okay. And that during some of the elections, Facebook decided to turn on a different algorithm that made posting what they're calling safer, allowing like more positive content to come through. But then after the elections were over, they'd switch it off to kind of let that negative stuff come through again, uncensored, kind of full bore. And that's what was in their best interest for advertisers, and that they knew that they were doing that. And those, I think, are questions that people have. Like, was Facebook purposely allowing negative stuff to go through for financial gain?
Right. And then what do you do
Facebook
about
saying
it,
no, by the way?
Yeah, I know. They're saying they already did that. Well,
Yeah.
Andrew, what do we do about it?
What do we do about it? If you don't like negative stuff, go somewhere else. Don't use Facebook.
I'm gonna go to TikTok.
Go TikTok.
So,
yep. There you go.
I get videos on homesteading, marketing, and animal facts. It's all clean, sanitary, nice. Never anything about the Chinese government, though. Weirdly, it's so weird.
Strange. Yeah.
Tiananmen Square, no, not a popular topic.
Well, and you know, that's what Instagram used to be.
Yeah.
Before Facebook acquired them. Instagram used to be where people went to seek refuge from political stuff and from stuff that angered them and didn't make them happy. Then Facebook took over Instagram, and strangely, that stuff just followed. So now people are going to move to the next thing, which is probably TikTok, until they change that. And people just keep changing and cycling through. The market will demand change.
Yeah. And then, you know, destroy the old companies if we don't freeze them in place by government. And yeah, if you have the next idea for, you know, how to give people the happy content that they like, well, you know, there's an opportunity out there. I don't know what that looks like. Andrew's probably better equipped to do that than I am, but
we'll work together. We need marketing too.
There we go. We'll figure it out. All right. Thanks again for joining us here on A Free Solution, everyone. Appreciate y'all being here. Glad Andrew was able to make it on again today. Good having you with us. We'll be back tomorrow. I mean, Tim O'Connor will be on tomorrow. Thanks again for listening. Take care.